All right, welcome back. So we're about to find out, to be or not to be, are the students about to get back to school, as the minister has announced? Now we're joined by Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, who is the President, Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, going by that announcement by the minister, yeah, many are optimistic that, who knows, this time it just might be back to school. We understand you were supposed to have a meeting yesterday, so start off with that. Did the meeting hold?
We were never invited to any meeting as yesterday, so we are surprised how he arrived at that. We never invited to any meeting.
None of your members were reached out to, because that was supposed to be June 23rd, Thursday.
Yes, they know the format. We have a secretariat. They know how to invite us, even online through the virtual and what do you call it, and often, but nothing was sent to us. Nothing.
And this is a head-scratching moment, just like this, because many wonder what's going on here. But wait, till now, there is no formal communication from government to the Secretariat of ASUU. That's what you're saying?
No, none at all. Not even online, nothing.
Okay, so when that announcement then went through that they had taken certain steps and they're about to go to school, what are people supposed to do? Are they not supposed to rely on that coming from government as though, yes, something is being done behind the scenes?
You see, the problem we have with this system, especially with the Minister of Labour, if you can go and tell the world that you have fixed a meeting with ASUU for Thursday 23rd, and you didn't fix any meeting, how do you expect us to believe other things you have said? It's an issue of trust. You have told the whole world you invited us for a meeting. We were the secretariat yesterday, no invitation, nothing at all. So how do we believe what he has said? That's the question we should ask ourselves. He should confirm to this world that he sent a letter of invitation to ASUU for a meeting on Thursday.
You know, so it appears as though this is how things have been going for the past 4 months and a few days since ASUU went on strike. And it beats the mind, really, because for a sector as important as education, you'd expect that, I mean, it will be handled with all form of seriousness. But maybe help us understand when last you at least had some form of interaction, interface, meeting or correspondence with the government on this. When was the last time?
Thank you very much. Let's put it straight. You know, the Minister of Labour was active in this sector until he started pursuing a political career. And he told us directly through the press that we should go back to our Minister of Education, who is our employer, to resolve the issue. You all had it, is it not? And we went back to the Minister of Education. I interacted so many times with the committee headed by Emeritus Professor Nimi Briggs on renegotiation. And we met several times and concluded renegotiation 2 weeks ago. And they said they were going to take it back to the principal, which is the president and the minister, to look at it and come back to sign. So we have been relating with the Ministry of Education and we are making some good progress in that direction. So we are surprised that from nowhere again, the Minister of Labour has come back again and telling the world what is not correct.
So, Prof,
we want to appeal. You should leave us alone. Let us discuss now with that.
Well,
you should allow us to discuss with our Minister of Labour for now. It is what, yes.
So are you giving us the impression now that there's something going on with the Minister of Labour? Or did you have any meeting with him, any scheduled meeting, either yesterday or anytime soon? Sorry, Minister of Education.
None at all. Yes, we have been meeting with the committee he set up. That committee headed by Emeritus Professor Nimi Briggs. We've been meeting with him, and we are discussing fluently, and we have concluded. We are waiting for the government to come now to us with that document and sign. That's where we are. So we are surprised when the Minister of Labour came up again. If you recall, it is the Minister of Labour that created this problem we have. Initially he took up the process, and instead of renegotiating and solving the problem, he believed that the best thing to use is to go and use hunger weapon, stop their salary.
Okay.
So proudly said, stop their salary, and wrote as a minister. And then Instead of solving the problem, you are looking for how to use weapons. In this country, at this present age,
well, it sounds like you're making more headway. I mean, from what you have said, with the Minister of Education and that renegotiation committee.
yes. So you allow us to deal with him.
Right. So, but can you tell us, so what has been agreed upon now? Because 2 weeks ago, it's been 2 weeks. I don't know how long it usually takes for these things to be agreed and eventually pen is put to paper. But what were the terms of agreement? Did you decide to shift ground, maybe understand with the government that, you know what, there's not much money around, so let's cut down on our demands? Is that what you agreed to, or are you still stuck to your guns?
What we believe as a union is that negotiation between two parties is purely within them until the issue has been resolved and it comes public. So we cannot divulge what we discuss because it's between we and the government committee. When the final thing is out, we will now know those who shifted ground, those who did not shift ground. But if both sides, both committees have agreed, which means both sides have shifted ground, and then we have agreed on a common ground. And we are waiting for the government to come back to us to sign that agreement.
So we take it that both parties have at least shifted ground, because if not, then there will be no basis for an agreement. So since 2 weeks ago, has there been... I'm sorry?
That is negotiation. In negotiation, both sides have to discuss. You can convince your opponent on what you believe is correct. And if both sides agree on that, then you move on. But we know this thing happened once in 2021. Remember? During the era of Musa Luchipe, we also reached this agreement,
right,
and it took 1 year before they come back. So I want Nigeria to have...
just at the point he was going to make the statement about Nigerians. Professor Sodeke, do we have you back?
Appeal to the government. I haven't...
Okay, the connection is a bit sketchy. Okay, yeah. Are you back now? Okay, it's okay now. Perhaps there was some interference. So just quickly before I yield to my colleague. So yes, it's good to see that you're speaking with the negotiation committee. There's been some sort of, compromise reached. But, it's one thing to have a meeting with the Minister of Education, but we know that because this is a thing that has to do with money, funds, the Ministry of Finance will also play a major role. In fact, the Ministry of Labour would also play a major role. So yes, you've said that you're making more headway with the Minister of Education, but you will still need the Minister of Labour, I imagine, and the Ministry of Finance. So are they all on the same page with this negotiation?
Thank you. If we negotiated with a committee set up by government, not with ministries, set up by the government, by the Federal Republic of Federal Government of Nigeria, as directed to the Minister of Education, who now compose the committee with the approval of the President. So we are not discussing with a minister without finance. Or education.
Oh dear, we keep getting that interference.
We negotiate, sorry, with all due respect, we negotiated with the Federal Republic, a committee set up by Federal Republic of Nigeria. And when they came in, we asked them, do you have the mandate of the government to negotiate with us? And they said yes, and it's written down. So we negotiated with government, not with ministries. We thought by the time they agree with us, they would have gotten the view of all those people you are talking about. That's it.
So, Prof, is it based on these negotiations, the nature of which you have refused to divulge, that the minister is saying that negotiations with ASUU have reached an advanced stage, and as such, the strike will soon be called off? So can Nigerians, particularly the students, can they rely on this position by the minister that things are progressing?
Well, we cannot speak for the government. We believe that on the issue of education, is the Minister of Education that should speak, who set up the panel on behalf of the government to talk to us, talk to the public. But I also know that minister, until all the issues are resolved, is also one of the, like us, is one of those who will not divulge what we are doing until all the issues are resolved and we are willing to sign. But you also, the Minister of Labour, want to catch public view, and you are telling us you call us for a meeting, which you know you didn't send any letter. So that is it. That's just it. We should have some reliability. And we pray that what he's saying is reliable, and it's a government view that very soon they will sign the agreement, implement all the things we agreed, and then we'll call out the strike.
The minister also said that UTAS has been tested and that NITSDA has tested UTAS and UPS, and then IPPIS will start testing again next week. What exactly is happening with the many propositions on payment system, and what is it looking like that both parties will agree on? Professor Shodeke. Prof, it appears we're having issues with the connection through to Professor Shodeke. We hope to get him back, but really, it doesn't look like we're making much progress. Well, or the negotiating.
Maybe not with the
parties.
Minister of Labour. Okay, yeah.
Prof is back now. Hello, Prof.
Yes, yes, thank you.
So, did you hear the last question about
No.
testing for, the different propositions for payment, for which government says there's some progress and that IPPIS will be tested again next week? So, what is it looking like that both parties will agree on in terms of remuneration, payment platforms?
Well, the process is ongoing, and we hope this time that neither will not play politics with this as they did with the last test. In the last test, the program scored 99.3%, and they said the program failed, which means politics. I hope they will not also play politics this time. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead, Prof. Go ahead, Prof.
And then, now, let's look at their program. Without testing, let's look at the program.
Oh, dear.
I picked 2008 in Nigerian public service. Are you hearing me?
Yes, it's getting better gradually.
Good. I started with the public service in 2008. And from the report of their head of service 2 days ago, between 2010 and today, IPs captured 33,000 people who were not staff of the ministry. IPs came into place in 2008, and by between 2010 and today, IPs captured 33,000 people who Nigeria have been paid all this period who are not staff. You read it yesterday. Hello?
Go ahead, Prof.
So if that is a program that have created that mess for Nigerian university system, why are you talking about it? Within a period of 15, 12, 14 years, oh my God, what is? They captured 33,000 people who are not staff of this federal and being paid salary, and we are still talking about that program. I think what the Nigerians should have done by now, and we are paying so much to their benefactor, is to throw away that program, go back to the old ways, where a ministry will come and NDA will come and defend their budget with the budget office, with National Assembly, and you account for it.
Well, it seems that statement from the Bureau of Public Service Reform is that IPs and TSA saved the government those funds, not as though it wasn't effective. I imagine that was what he was trying to say. So maybe that's another argument for why IPs has been working. But particularly for UTAS, are you still sticking to having UTAS as your payment platform?
No. Let's go back to the argument first. Let's go back to the argument first.
No, it's not my argument. I'm putting out the statement from the DG of the Bureau of Public Service Reform.
Not you. That argument.
Okay.
Yes, let's go back to that argument. The report they are talking about, and between those periods, IPs was the one who captured those people. How are you saying it's a reform? Those were captured between 2010 and today. IPs was in 2008, which means IPs created that problem that they said they have reformed. And I think the government should throw away that IPs and let's go back to our old ways. We won't pay money to any.
All right, Prof. Let's see if we could just wrap up on this note, and if it can come through. So, there's a glimmer of hope.
The Nigerian academics can develop a proper program to. if government decide to do what he has agreed with us.
All right. Just one more thing, if this will be possible because of the connection being unstable. You appear to have given a glimmer of hope that there's progress in that negotiation going on with the Professor Briggs team. So the kind of progress that you're making and in that negotiation or conversation, is it such that when it's reached, not if now, when you reach an agreement, is it such that there'll be no strike whatsoever for, who knows, the next 5, 10 years?
Definitely. If government agreed to implement what they negotiated, that's our problem. If government had agreed to implement what they negotiated in 2009, there would not have been any strike within this period. And in that agreement, we also incorporated that if government have issues that they cannot do, they should call us back to meet every 3 years so that you sort out this problem. There's no need for a strike. But they will not call you.
All right.
You go to them, in this issue, we have done everything. Met with the president,
No, I'm talking about the agreement that you say is progressing, the conversation you're having with this team now. Okay, Prof, we'll have to just...
I just wanted to put this through before. I know the connection has been a bit sketchy. It looks like, members of ASUU and others are calling Prof saying, you know what, we like the work you're doing, so maybe that's why we're having that interference. But, Prof, to be clear, are you still sticking to the 2009 agreement or this renegotiation happening with the renegotiation committee of Professor Briggs?
You see, when you negotiate an agreement, when you sign, the old one goes away, you start a new one. That's the idea. But so we hope that what we have negotiated will be implemented and the university will...
All right, Prof, we need to thank you all because I would like to imagine that it's predicated
the university will be striking. Then we have best education. We start having students from all over the world coming to Nigeria. Start having lecturers from all over the world coming to Nigeria to teach. Just how people are going out. That's what we want.
All right, Professor Emmanuel Osodokia, President of Academic Staff Union of Universities. Thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Thank you very much, thank you.
All right, so there you go. Hoping that when that agreement is reached, not if, because, I don't know, who can afford another if now? Because he says there's progress being made. So hoping when that happens, it will be such that they'll stick with. Because this team that is negotiating this agreement will not be the people that will implement it.
Same way we had... Pardon, go ahead, please.
Well, it's interesting to note that he said, when you asked him about a glimmer of hope, that is it possible that there will be no strike after they reach an agreement? And
I held on to that response, really.
I just had to hold on to it on behalf of Nigerian students. He said, indeed, it's a possibility. It would be more than a possibility, Chamberlain. It would be a miracle if there'll be no more strike in Nigerian tertiary education system.
It's really sad because it's taking its toll.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten some response from our viewers, really. I know this is a big deal. In fact, all the discussions we had, big deal. Let's start with this one from Henry Okeke on ending ASUU's protracted strike. He says, 4 months and 10 days, I must say. There is no justification whatsoever for the current situation of our education sector. The irony of the situation is that our leaders once benefited from quality free education, but have refused to give back same experience to the young generation. Getting Nigerian students back to school should be a top priority and not election, he says.
Another Henry Wongwu this time says, organ trafficking is a well-recognized crime according to, I believe, several international conventions and monitored by the UNODC. Several Nigerian hospitals are conducting organ transplants and are perfecting the practice daily. Section 51 and 52 of the National Health Act.
He says they are weak and they need to be strengthened, so to speak. So, look at this one from Festus. He says, the lawyer, who wears native doctor's attire to Supreme Court should be applauded. Our Supreme Court has basically compounded a problem in their hijab ruling. The same Supreme Court must quickly override its own judgment to save Nigerians from chaos. But I believe that if you heard the latter part of Mr. Digborowa SAN's conversation, perhaps you might think differently because he shed a lot of light and put it in proper context as to why that was the case.
And Joseph Dare Olowa says the placeholder as the law is cutting one finger of lawless politicians. They're wearing, okay, I have to read this a bit differently now. It says the placeholder as the law is cutting one finger of lawless politicians. They're wearing the ring to another finger. Nigerian politicians always find a way to circumvent the law. How did we get to this concept of placeholder? INEC should stand firm on this. Well, they're the ones who give the room, and people will always find room within the law or around the law to see, what do they say now? The law is an ass? To, carry out their actions. But I'm sure that if there is an abuse of the process, INEC, the regulator, should be in a place to point it out and, hold its ground. Thank you so much for sending your contributions this morning and for watching throughout the week. Yes, it's Friday. I'm Mark Welgun Yusuf.
Yes, it is Friday. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Indeed, it is Friday.
What?
Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
What day did they think it was in the first place? Well, thank you for watching. I'm Chamberlain, so we'll see you next time.
Oh, goodness.